Hi, I'm Becca. I'm one of the Inclusive Play officers on the Inclusive Play team within Playboard NI. I'm also the step parent of 8-year-old twin boys that have a diagnosis of severe autism and global development delay. This is part 2 of our series Top 5 Tips for Parenting Neurodivergent Children, and today we are going to chat about how we discover what our child's strengths are. So I think this is a really important topic to cover as part of this series, because when you are the parent of a neurodivergent child, you do spend a lot of time with different therapists, different consultants, different interventions discussing the things that your child can't do. We sit in appointments and hear lots of different things about their delays, about targets that they need to meet, about interventions that may need to be put in place. And after a while, you spend more time thinking about what your child can't do versus what they can do. One of the ways that we have tried to support ourselves through this is changing the language around it and saying, okay, they can't do it, but they can't do it yet. Yet being that very important word. We are raising 2 boys that we were told would struggle to sit up. They would never walk, they wouldn't make eye contact, they wouldn't be able to communicate their needs. And I can tell you now that we have 2 boys that are doing all of those things. They're just doing it at their own pace, and that is absolutely okay. So what I mean by strengths is not things like being able to read or write or being able to talk yet. It's things that make the boys unique. It's things like their determination to complete a task, how they fill and pour cups of water, how they can match shapes, how they can use their communication boards. Those things are just as important as your child's ability to be able to read and write. So for children that are pre-verbal or have a diagnosis, I would say that parents need to become very good at observing, and I did say that in part 1 of this series. You need to look at things like, when is your child most happiest? When are they most relaxed? For us, it's when the boys have access to water, when they have a ball that they can throw, when they're matching shapes, and whenever they're putting items into different groups. When you discover what they spend the most time concentrating on, you'll usually find that that is the thing that they love doing the most, and that in itself becomes a strength. So I think it's really important that we look past that spoken language as their only form of communication, because communication could be so much more than words in the beginning of this journey. It can be a very frustrating and lonely place as a parent, but your child might communicate via facial expressions, gestures, eye contact, Makaton, or communication boards. They may not be able to do that verbally yet, but again, observation and persistence, you will find a way that your child clearly communicates their wants and needs. And learning how to find that level ground of communication between yourself and your child can become your family's biggest strength. I just think it's really important that we celebrate qualities that can't always be measured. So is your child persistent? Do they keep trying until they succeed? Do they make people laugh? Are they affectionate? Can they complete tasks independently? For us, the boys being able to put on their own socks and shoes will always be a strength that I will celebrate every single day. Another thing that I will say, and I will hold my hands up and say that this is much easier said than done, but please do not compare your child to anyone else. We even struggled comparing one twin to the other. When the older boy started to crawl, we were like, why is the other one not crawling? When one started to walk, we were like, why is the other one not walking? But they're 2 very different boys. They have different strengths, they have different likes, different dislikes, and progress will look different in every single child. The first time that your child gives you eye contact, when you say their name, when they try a new food, when they tolerate a new routine, they are all huge achievements that should be celebrated. They can look very small to someone else, but for your family it can represent months and months of hard work and persistence. We also need to remember that your child's strengths becomes the basis for learning. So if your child loves cars, dinosaurs, bubbles, for example, use those interests in their learning. If they learn best through movement, use movement. If they learn best through modelling behaviour, model the behaviour to them. If they love singing and music, then make that part of your daily routine. When we build on what our children enjoy and make use of what they're naturally good at, they're much more likely to learn and engage in that learning with confidence. Finally, I just want every parent to know that your child is more than a diagnosis. Autism and global development delay help us understand how the twins experience the world, but they do not define who they are. Every child has their own personality, interests, preferences and abilities. Sometimes finding those strengths takes a little bit more time and a lot of observation, but they're always there. As parents, one of the greatest gifts that we can give to our children is helping them see those strengths too. Because when children feel understood and valued for who they are, then they really begin to thrive. And definitely just that reinforcement. Your child might not be able to do something at this moment in time, but the really important word that you need to add on to every sentence that you say is yet. My child can't do it yet.